up, buds? Welcome to another episode of the Earbuds Podcast. This is a podcast where two good buds talk about one good album for a good amount of time. I am Ash. Unfortunately, Lucas is feeling a little shy today, so he's probably going to be pretty quiet throughout the episode. But lucky for us, I have brought my really good friend from high school, Rini.
Hello. Just have like a cardboard cutout for Lucas.
Yeah, I told him I'll edit little bits of him to be in the episode so that he'll still.
It's got like 10 different sound effects. What? No.
It was like, oh yeah, oh no.
Dude, I'm super fucking hot.
Yeah. There's a crowd suddenly of just people applauding.
And you, this is your second time on the podcast. The last time we did this was maybe 3 years ago or
Dude,
something
that
like
doesn't
that.
even feel right. It feels like 5 or something.
The reason we're doing this is because you asked for that episode, and we're like, oh my god, we need to have you on again.
Yeah.
And why don't
I-
you?
Sorry. I choked up so hard when I listened to it last about the whole bubble bath scene with the pendulum.
The bubble bath scene?
Where it's like, yeah, just relax to hold your color of the album as you're slipping into
yeah.
a nice bath.
You're just kind of you've got these scented candles while like 180 BPM breakbeat plays.
Yeah,
That
still gets me.
that was quite a venture. That was an hour and a half long album. And you I think I remember Lucas saying that he had just like a couple heart attacks throughout
Yeah.
listening to it.
Yeah.
And you've been kind enough to bring an album that is a little less intense.
Yeah.
Why don't you introduce the album?
So the album I brought today is, and apologies if I get this name wrong, but I pronounce it as Grabbitz. And
Yeah, I think
it
that's it.
is Time Isn't Real.
Time Isn't Real by Grabbitz. This came out in 2022, and after reading the lyrics, it made a lot more sense to me that this was all kind of made in the pandemic.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of like like the first song, Pigs in the Sky, is kind of about this like mass paranoia and like not being able to trust anyone. And a lot of songs on this album are kind of have that weird like, oh, I don't know if I could trust anyone near me. And it's like, oh yeah, it's because it was made during lockdown. And we were
Oh
all
man,
kind of fucked up.
I thought it was all just like romance songs.
Well, there are quite a few of those as well, but I really wanted to know, like, how did you find this artist? How did you find this album?
So, stop me if you've heard this story before, but I got it from my older brother. So,
Yep.
this, for some reason, me and my older brother have a lot of the same taste when it comes to music. Not always, but yeah. So I found Grabbitz back in 2018. And I'm pretty sure it was again on one of my older brother drives. Very iconic moments in my life. I Honestly, I remember listening to his stuff the most back in like fall of 2018 when I had just gotten out of college. So like I was working at a high school at that time and I'd be driving to work and I was listening to like his very old albums at the time, and I told myself like when I first heard him, I was like, these songs are good, but like with all artists, I don't really follow them. It's like rare exceptions when I actually go look for their work. But he
Right.
just kept cropping back up, even without my older brother, like introducing the songs. Like I would just be like, hey, this is really good. Who did? Oh, it's Grabbitz again. Hello. Or I'd just be like another year later and be like, man, this is really great. What? Grabbitz? What doing here? So
Just it's somehow been a mainstay in your music life the last couple years.
in the last 5 years, it's just been around, and I'm not
Jeez.
even looking for him. So I'm just like, huh? Like we keep running into each other at the grocery store. Like we gotta stop doing this.
This is so awkward.
Yeah.
But this is I was surprised to learn that Grabbitz has done like a song with Dead Mouse before. He seems
Oh,
like pretty big in like the electronic music scene, I think.
yeah. I'm kind of surprised how much he's pumped out. Again, 5 years. But like, and his stuff just keeps getting better and better, in my opinion. Because like when I listen to his old work from 2018, it's still good, but it's like, it's just so different from what he's producing now. Like, I almost thought about putting on or recommending like a more recent volume that I haven't heard of. But when I looked at how many songs on here, because again, I'm not looking for the albums. It's just like, oh, I like this song. I like this song. I was like,
Yeah, right.
wait a second. There's a lot of songs I like on this one specific album. So might as well just listen to the rest.
And what about his older stuff is different?
It's just a lot more subdued, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Like I'll have to recommend a couple to you to listen to. There's one I've gotten in my head, but I'm not remembering the name of it right now. Um, Break Me Down, it might be. But yeah, that one is just a lot more laid back compared to like Wolf and a wolf dressed up as a sheep,
Yeah.
or like 87 seconds.
Yeah, because a lot of the songs on here can be kind of in your face at
Yeah.
times. And one thing Lucas wanted to say about the album is that he enjoyed the like Nine Inch Nails influence on it, which is kind of the like some of these songs will be a little like metallic almost sounding, like Pigs in
Ooh,
the Sky, and kind of have this moody kind of music to it.
interesting. Yeah,
Um
I think I've only heard one Nine Inch Nails song, so still in the from the time we did our last recording to this one, I am still not a music person. Still don't know my genres.
but that's fine because we're gonna be talking about feelings as well, and I know this about you. You love to make you love to let music kind of inspire scenes that you're writing.
Yes.
And so has this album kind of been the same or has it kind of been an outlier?
Um, it's definitely been the same, but for different, like I've seen these songs through different moments. I didn't get introduced to all of them at once. So there's like different time periods, I guess I could say. Like 87 seconds was actually when I was really like reading Dungeon Meshi. So that 87 seconds reminds me of that specifically, because
Mm,
I was really into the manga at that time. Still fantastic. Um, Pigs
yes.
in the Sky, what was I into at that point? It might have been a lull. That might have been last year. I don't think I had anything huge fandom related to that. Um, and honestly, even though we're not going to be doing it, I did listen to the deluxe. That one actually has a lot more songs that I have for specific fandoms.
Mm.
Um, because it just resonates with like a story I'm telling right now.
Yeah, sure. Like a lot of these songs can kind of set a very distinct mood, which I feel
Hmm.
like is very helpful for kind of using it as inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
And so why and so you picked this album because there were a lot of songs that you kind of listened to before on it. Um, but what is your like I don't know, you're into electronic music mostly when you listen to it, right?
Yeah, honestly, I just like listening to something that's catchy and something if I can put a fight scene to it, I usually like it. So yeah, I guess that would just be intense stuff.
Yeah,
But
which
yeah, just I don't know, there's just something about it that like it's not too in your face like Pendulum, you're not gonna have a heart attack while listening to it.
yes.
Um, but it also feels different, I guess. Sorry, I don't have too much to say in that sort of department.
No, it's all good. I think uh it a lot of the songs kind of reminded me with the it seems very theatric. A lot of the songs seem like they want to be bigger than life. And
Mm,
that kind of reminded me of Imagine Dragons in a way where they kind of had this anthemic deal about them. I think some of Grabbitt's songs have been in Valorant, if I'm
mm.
not mistaken. and just like these like epic moments that are happening a lot on this album.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I actually just remembered a memory from one of them as I'm looking through the tracks. Painkiller was actually when I was really into Genshin, and Rip was, I remember I was showing one of my friends Grabbit for the first time, and that was one of the songs I showed them. And I didn't know if they liked it or not, but then the next time we hung out and it came on, they started singing to it, and I was like, yes!
Yes, I've corrupted you.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Let's go.
All of my friends have gone to hell.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't bring the Genshin rap that you sent me the last time we talked for the
Well,
podcast.
considering that is a single song and not an album, and also I tried to bring something else on here and that got denied. I figured Genshin was off the plate.
Yeah, you tried to bring in, I forget who the artist's name was.
Ty McGrath.
Ty McGrath, who did a lot of like anime songs for like video games and
Yeah.
yeah, which I it's unfortunate that Lucas is here because the reason I didn't think that would work is because Lucas hasn't seen like any of this stuff that any of these songs we're talking about. Now the
Mhm.
doofus isn't even here. So you try to please people.
Yeah. Well, I can still have a list I could recommend from you. It is a lot more like, I mean, it is like heavy, like anime intro aspired, like shoujo, sort of like anime openings. He goes real hardcore in there. If Ty is not screaming in one of his anime intro openings, something's not right. So so maybe
Oh
it's
my
good
God.
we have this one to buffer. So it's not just like,
This
why do you keep bringing in like songs that bring my heartbeat up to 600?
it is a lot more chill. There are some songs with like grooves, it kind of a groovy feel, not so much like you're running down a hallway from some like mafia bosses, but more that you're kind of in your car going down the road and like thinking about life.
Yeah, yeah. If you do like Pigs in the Sky, he has another rendition of it that's like a more subdued version. That one's also really good. I don't think I can pick which one of those is my favorites. I think it's like Pigs in the Sky 1993 edition.
Oh, I think I saw that. I should listen to it. When you listen to Grabbitz, what what kind of parts are you listening to the most? Are you listening more to the music or the vocals or
Never the vocals. It's always hard for me, like unless I'm explicitly listening for them or I'm singing with them, I really just kind of tune out the lyrics.
Mm,
Um, because it gets in the way of like my brainstorming and being able to create scenes with that music. Because like there's so many songs out there about like my girlfriend has left me or like you bitch, I'm very upset and sad. And it's just like,
yes.
listen, all of my scenes cannot be about breakups and like revenge and like love is awesome. So
Yeah, which is also a good part of this record is the oh I love this girl. Oh, this girl left me. Fuck you.
yeah. Yeah. That's why I was like, wasn't this a lot of romance?
There's actually one kind of earnest song in this album called oh what is it? Come Down?
Yeah,
Um
that one's good.
which I think is very sweet and it's all about like whenever we're not together, I feel like I'm like coming down on a drug. I feel worse.
Yeah.
I just like to be with you and it's like I don't know, that's sweet.
No, it definitely was. Painkiller is also, that one's really good. It's like, hey, I'm in a really bad state. Can you just come over and like help?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of the same like theme of like you like I love you. You help me.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
also like I don't know, there's also an air of like but this is kind of fucked up that we have this relationship, but uh I love it, so whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels a lot more tense than Come Down.
And so which songs on here Like, do you like the more intense stuff? Do you like the more like laid back stuff a little more?
So I like the more intense stuff. Like I was not expecting to like the ugly as much. But
I
I just love how it gets into the, everybody get the fuck up, like that just quick succession. I was like, yeah, that's like blood pumping.
yeah,
Um,
I love the like stuttery kind of beat that drives the whole thing, and it kind of makes it feel like
yeah.
a little awkward and claustrophobic.
Yeah, I love it. I do love Rip. That one is a little near and dear to my heart. Just because like I've listened to it so much and I've had it for in my soundtrack for a little bit longer. Uh, it's just such a good song to drive to. But like even songs that when I first listened to on the first time being like they were okay, and I came back to them like later this week to listen again, I was like, actually no, this has grown on me. Like Teleport and Dying to Know You, those have really grown on me.
Yeah, interesting. It's I think the I think that's a pretty common experience on this podcast. Whenever I like bring in old stuff and like, oh, some of these songs are kind of like whatever, but you take another listen to them and like, oh, they like there is some interesting stuff going on here. And like,
Yeah.
I don't think there are any like filler songs on here. There are no songs that like sound like it's just like a cash grab, I guess.
You sure about that? What Now was very much like, oh my God, we're at this museum and it's like so
I,
cool. And I'm like, all right, all right.
well, they I another thing I didn't know about this album until later on is that like the What Now is like, oh my god, there's this museum and it changes everyone's lives, and I didn't know that the single art for a lot of these songs are like paintings and like works of art,
Yeah.
with the conceit that like this album is like a museum and like it's the museum that it's talking about,
Oh.
which is kind of a cool concept, but also um, maybe a little cheesy.
Yeah, just a smidge, but I kind of like that. Honestly, this is so flashback, but do you remember those videos, those VHSs we used to watch as kids in school, where it's like da 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 da, and we fly through the museum and like see the animals and
Yeah,
stuff, and it ends with like the giant T-Rex skeleton.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the lighting in this for the album art honestly just kind of takes me back there. I feel like we're about to go into the painting. Do 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 do.
Yeah, you're like flying around. There's like the bird that comes through, and there's all like the
Yeah.
paintings and stuff. I was that for like National Geographic or what was that?
I
I
cannot tell you, but I don't think I could just go to Google and be like da 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 and then just be like that. I know what that is.
you could try. I feel like da 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 will get a lot of people.
All the people listening to this, I just sleeper agent response.
Well, let's I I forget if I reminded you of this section of the podcast. But we have the choice nugs section where we pick our two favorite songs on the record.
I do remember this. And I was trying to think about that earlier. And it's honestly really hard because aside from What Now, like I like every song in this. So I was like, crap, I'm supposed to pick two. Like, part of me was like, I could go for the oldest ones, the ones I've known the longest, but I'm like, but is that what my heart says? So,
It's really tough. Like when you have a history with the songs, it's kind of hard to like separate that.
yeah. I do want to give like a sort of what is it?
Like an honorable mention.
An honorable mention. I want to give an honorable mention to the deluxe version of this that has like four extra songs. If we did do that one, I would put If I Came Back Home on there because it's amazing. It's fantastic. Honestly, I cannot stop listening to it. But on the original album, um, let's see, my two. I feel like one of them has to be 87 seconds. It's just a little different from the rest. It almost feels like, again, what I was talking about in Pendulum, where it's like you have that sort of falling feeling. I don't know why I really gravitate towards songs that have that. So it feels like just this sort of like, well, as the song says, wait, I've got 87 seconds till I drown. It just feels like a slow moment in time of like, we're taking a breather, we're gonna come back, you know. But that
Yeah,
one inspires a lot for me.
it's kind of got these like long whistling kind of synths in the back to kind of like give a little tension, and it does kind of give you the image of just like kind of floating in this blackness and kind of like not sure where you're going
Hmm.
until that like that drum beat comes in, and then like suddenly you're like in this new place, like oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah. Um, which I we haven't mentioned, but I kind of love how all these songs sort of bleed together. Like they almost seamlessly go from one to the next on some of these. Like Come Down and Painkiller, it almost feels seamless between the tracks moving.
Yeah, it does make it yeah, it does go well into each other. It kind of makes it seem like a like you put a little more thought into the track order instead of
Yeah.
just like putting it randomly as displayed by the Bad Lover Suite and A Wolf Dressed Up as a Sheep and Dying to Know You, which
Yeah.
each feature Bad Lovers Club, which I don't know who they are or who like he is or anything, but I did like those songs.
Yeah, no, those were really good. Bad Lover Suite, I was kind of like, oh, the violins are nice, but it feels so like different from the rest of the track. And then we get into A Wolf Dressed Up as a Sheep, and I was like, ah, that's Grabbitz. And I love just sort of like the old-timey piano through it all.
Yeah, I do like that little bit. There are some interesting like instrument choices throughout this record and some like little noises that you wouldn't expect to hear
Yeah.
throughout the record.
Now,
Um
for my second choice, I really want to say Rip because it is a song I hold near and dear to my heart. But honestly, Another Form of Goodbye actually kind of got me a little when I first listened to it. Like,
really?
yeah, I mean, it's about a song about like, you took my love and then threw it away. I took yours and I did the same. This is another form of goodbye through the song. But I don't know, when I was just listening to it, something in me was just kind of like it just made me think of like all the tracks and all the songs that my older brother has introduced me to. And it's like to get dark for a second, it's like our time on this planet is short, and eventually, I these will be just vacant memories in my mind, and he'll be gone. But it's like it almost feels like that in a little bit of sense. Like someday I will have to say goodbye to him and all these songs that he has given me, and you know
Mm.
through this author. So I don't know. It kind of made me just stop for a second and be like, I'm so thankful for, everything that my older brother has done for me and shared with me.
Yeah, I yeah, that's really nice. Well, I mean it's bittersweet. Uh
Yeah.
Obviously, but it is a very beautiful sentiment. It's the last song on the record, which makes a lot of sense. Um and it kind of has a groove to it, but it's very like it's a little more sullen about it.
Yeah.
And what either might be a string section or like a synth pretending to be a string section, kind of making it feel a little more I don't know, a little more melancholic for lack of another word.
Melancholy.
Melancholy.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah.
I think throughout this album, listening to this song, I I appreciate how much work he put into like the vocals and the harmonies and the backup vocals on a lot of these tracks. Like a lot of these are kind of backed up by his own like little kind of multi-layer vocals, kind of giving a background, and uh that was an interesting part of the music that I kind of grabbed onto when I noticed it.
Yeah.
Um Damn. Well, I feel like we should have saved your two for last. 'Cause now mine are a lot less personal.
No,
Uh,
I didn't even think that was gonna come up. Like I was looking over here being like, yeah, Pigs in the Sky is good. Yeah, ugly. Oh yeah, right. Another form of goodbye.
another form of goodbye. Oh. It's like in like the last like 10 seconds of the song are this long, airy like violin and then silence.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, let me give you my two favorites.
Yeah.
My first one is, as we talked about, Pigs in the Sky. We've been mentioning that one
Yeah.
quite a bit. I I think this one sounds the most like Nine Inch Nails, like Lucas described. It kind of has that steady feeling, this kind of tinny percussion going through the whole thing. I love the uh what comes next, probably Pigs in the Sky, if I had to guess, and how the like music kind of stops for it and gives him that
Yeah.
moment. And I like the delivery of the verse uh with those, I don't know, almost minimal music, but the percussion is up front and there's just this little chittering in the back, giving more to that tension. But was Pigs in the Sky a close one for you?
Yeah, because that is one of the few ones that's probably one of the first ones I listened to from this album without realizing it a long time ago, back when I was like, oh, Grabbitz again in my 2022. So I listened to that one for quite a bit. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's called the 1993 version. That one is also good. It like deploys a guitar instead. So we have, I think I can say, a white guy on an acoustic guitar.
Thank God. We don't have enough of those.
We don't.
There are definitely some like guitar driven tracks, or maybe not driven, but like I think if I remember correctly, oh, does Painkiller or 87 Seconds kind of start with a guitar?
Um,
Um,
Not 87 seconds.
well, in any case, it's present. It seems like Grabbitz probably uses guitar for inspiration for a good amount of his songs.
Yeah.
But let me tell you about my second choice, which
Mhm.
is the very next song after Pigs in the Sky. It's The Ugly.
Yeah, that one's so good.
You know, the first couple times I listened to this album was a complete like flyover, you know? Like I almost didn't notice it, but kept coming back to it, and again, as we've said before, I love that like little stuttery, glitchy beat. I love how almost confined it sounds until
Mhm.
like I don't know. It's always kind of building that tension and then like kind of bringing it back a little, and just slowly increasing through the song. I love how the instrumentation develops throughout like the second half of it and gets a little more intense. My my favorite moments on this album have been the little like musical breaks that he has in his songs.
Mhm.
And this song concludes with one of those. And what I thought was like maybe the most interesting part on the album for me.
Yeah, no, it is kind of weird to just have a song not come back to the vocals for the rest of it. So I totally get what you're saying. Like when I first listened to it, I was like, oh, that's it? Huh. But I go back to it and I'm just like, no, it fits.
Yeah, I think it does too. It's just an interesting like almost unresolved feeling.
Yeah.
Uh and you know, now it's gotta go home. Now it's get the fuck up.
Buddy, get to hold in your
And
own.
get to holding
Uh-oh.
your own.
God. What a really great album. Like, I already liked most of the songs on here, but I was not expecting like to have like a 90% like. Obviously, I don't count What Now and like
Well,
Bad Lover Sweet is nice, but everything else is like on my Spotify. So,
what
and that
now and
rarely happens.
yeah. What Now and Bad Lover Suite are both kind of intermission tracks anyway. They don't
Yeah.
I wouldn't count them as songs. Um but but I feel like it would be unfair if I didn't talk about some of the gripes I had with this record. Maybe.
Okay.
I feel like oftentimes the vocal style gets kind of repetitive through the songs.
Yes. I did notice that with Grabbitz is that the lyrics sometimes felt a little shallow, especially on If I Came Home. That one, like, I don't even like the lyrics are just surface level, and I'm just like, I'm not expecting anything much, but also like, this is why I don't listen to lyrics.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, and the lyrics were pretty shallow. Like it gets done what it needs to get done. It's not like he's like making this psychological psychedelic record or anything. Like it's just a fun electronic album.
Yeah.
Um and I feel like there were a couple flyovers on the record. I think Teleport still hasn't really won me over yet.
Mm.
As well as what else is on here? I did like the Bad Lovers Club tracks. I think those would be
Yeah.
like little honorable mentions to me. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like
I
Dying to Know You was a little too close to like an Imagine Dragons song,
I
but
could see that.
but eh. And also I like you know well that I am not really an electronic person, you know? And so it's always interesting to go into these records from artists I've never heard of, songs I've never listened to, and like I don't know, just try to get myself in the right headspace to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely it's definitely not a record I would listen to in a dour mood. I feel like it would just be like annoying if I did that.
Mm.
But it was in the I don't know, the moments of like I guess just like being on the train and like I don't know, watching the landscape go by and kind of thinking like, oh, this stuff's kind of cool. That I think the album was best for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. You have to sort of be moving in order to listen to these songs. If you're sitting, it just doesn't feel right. Which my first introduction of listening to this whole album was at work, like doing data, and I was just like, this feels wrong. Like, I feel like I
Yeah,
need to be walking around the
yeah.
cubicles.
And I guess we'll push it to our last segment where we rate the album from 0 to 10. Decimals are very welcome. And I'll start with mine because I think it's going to be a little lower than yours.
Okay.
Um, I think In the Wrong Mood, it is not an album I want to listen to. I think it's when you're not listening to it, the songs can all kind of meld together. But I think listening closer, he does bring interesting instruments, interesting noises to the songs. I think his voice could be a little, I don't know, like I might not like Grabbitz as a person. It's like the feeling I get from his vocals, but they do the job and they can be really catchy when the mood suits him. So I'm just gonna give this record a 6 out of 10.
Okay. That's definitely better than I think you're for Pendulum. So
Oh
I
my
feel
god, did I give it a well, it was
you
so much. It was
you
so
you
much.
you two gave it such low scores, and I was like, I will strive to find albums that will get a little higher up. So this is a win for me.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Now
But
this is oh,
let's hear the right score.
well, I don't think I have the right score because part of me wants to say I would put this at a 7 out of 10. However, I put Pendulums Hold Your Color at a 7 out of 10. And it's like, would I put Time Isn't Real on the same scale as Pendulum Hold Your Color? Immediately I'm like, no. But Hold Your Color has so much nostalgia, so much sentimental value for me that it's like, could I listen to the whole track through that hour and a half and still keep it at a 7 out of 10? No, I could definitely listen to this and put it as a 7 out of 10. So it's kind of clouded for me. So it's like I want to put it there, but it's also like Pendulum deserves better. So
Would you go with a 6.9 then?
I could do a 6.8.
Okay, a 6.8, a 6.85?
Yes, maybe out of 4.
Sure.
6.854.
6.854 out of 10.00 ongoing.
Yeah. So, like, Grabbitz, I love you, man. Thanks for being in my life for 5 years. Your lyrics still need work, but I'm happy with the quality of his work and how it's going. But I didn't even realize it was an electric genre until you brought it up, and I was like, that's probably why I'm really starting to vibe with it these days.
Yeah, I think you might be into electronic. You do like what is like Hatsune Miku? What is like a
Vocaloid? I have not listened to Vocaloid in a hot second.
we were playing a lot of that rhythm game though.
Oh, that was that was so much fun.
And
Oh my God.
I was like at first I was like, okay, this is a little silly, and then like by the second hour of us playing it, I'm like getting really into it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could get 90% on this song. I know I can.
Yeah. Oh my God, that brings up so old memories. I still have those Animal Crossing amiibos. Whenever we can do the stock market again,
Oh
waiting.
God, everyone hates that Animal Crossing Amiibo
I
Festival game, but I just
know.
love it.
I love it too. Like every time I think about it, I'm like, gosh, we need to come back to this. Like you're the only one I play it with. I miss
Lily
it.
Lily will still bring it up sometimes. We'll talk about the stock market in the boom.
So, yeah.
Thank you everyone so much for listening. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get podcasts. We talk about albums we really like, or we bring on guests we really like and talk about albums that they really like. Rini, thank you again so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's always a blast.
And that is it. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.